Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Chase here at Rocky Mountain. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the new HJC RPHA 60 Dual Sport Adventure helmet. So in HJC, they've got a lot of different options as far as dual sport adventure, touring, street helmets to choose from. But the RPHA signals or signifies their premium helmet options in different lineups. So with the RPHA 60, price on this, you're gonna be around $500. For the solid colors, you go up just a little bit for some of the painted options. But first impressions looking at it, I haven't got to ride in the RPHA 60 yet, but overall, I really like this helmet. I like the look, I like the design of it, I like the fit. There is one thing about the fit that I will kind of caution you or warn you about when we get to that, but you've got a nice lightweight helmet, comes in 3 different shell sizes. A size medium, you're about 3 pounds 7, 3 pounds 8 ounces, which for a dual sport adventure helmet with a drop-down sun visor, that's actually pretty dang lightweight. You know, when you get to about 4 pounds, that's what I consider heavy in this category. So 3 pounds 7 ounces is actually a pretty lightweight dual sport adventure helmet. You have an extra smoke shield that will also come included, including the Pinlock Max Vision anti-fogging system that also comes included with this helmet. So you get a lot of value. There's a lot of cool features. As I mentioned, it's a good venting design. You got the drop-down sun visor, which is adjustable. I haven't seen that before, so we'll talk about that. And you can tell that they've done a lot of research with wind tunnel testing to make this helmet stable at higher speeds to help reduce lift. And when you look at the neck roll, that was honestly probably one of the first things that stood out to me is when you put this on. So let's just talk about the fit real quick. So I tried it on. Size medium for me is very comfortable. It's a comfortable helmet. The neck roll, however, you can see they were doing everything that they could to keep out as much wind noise as possible. And to be able to do that with any helmet, you're gonna have to have the best seal you can get around the chin skirt, the cheek pads, and the neck roll area. And so this thing is pretty tight to put on. When you put it on, you gotta really force it on there. So if you're a rider that takes your helmet off and on multiple times throughout the day as you go on your ride, that's probably gonna rub your ears pretty raw. I'm just saying that because I've had that from other helmets do that. So this is probably one of the tightest fitting helmets just in this area that I've tried on. It will break in a little bit, but it is just something that I did notice. Keep in mind, we have our fit guarantee. If you buy one of these helmets, this goes for any helmet that we sell. If you don't like how it fits, you can send it back in brand new, unused condition. What I recommend is put a helmet on in your house and just sit there for 20, 30 minutes, watch some YouTube, watch TV, I don't care. Just make sure there's no bad hot spots that are gonna bug you. But if they do, we'll give you free shipping both ways on that first exchange to make sure you get the size and the fit that is going to be best for you. So a little 360 view here. So they use their PIM shell. So it's epoxies and resins. It's a very lightweight, very strong material. You're gonna be DOT and ECE 2206. And like I said, 3 pounds 7 ounces is actually pretty dang lightweight for this helmet. Now, as far as the venting goes, so you've got this big mouth vent right here in the front. So very easy to find, which I like. So positive action there. Then you've got a vent here that's gonna be underneath your peak. And to operate that, again, very easy to find. And then on the back, when you look, you've got a lot of these exhaust vents. So kind of these little fins here, those each have a vent on there to get that negative pressure, to take that warm air and get it out the back of the helmet. As far as your shield goes, so shield's gonna be optically correct. So what I like is that you can just crack this just a little bit. So if you are dealing with some fogging or if it's a hot day and you don't want it all the way up, but you do want a little bit of airflow, you can just barely crack that shield. I wish it could be just maybe a tad lower, but it's not bad. So you can just crack it. And then from here until you get to the very top detent, there's actually all these little micro detents. And honestly, they're very small. You're not gonna really hear them, but that's your first big detent there. You got these little micro detents on the way up, and then you get to the very top one, that thing's locked in place, it's not going anywhere. All right, so with that up, let's talk about the drop-down sun visor. So you operate that right here on the left side. Now here's what I do like about this. When you compare this to the drop-down sun visor and other HJC helmets and just other brands in general, they made this thing nice and low. My complaint that I've seen, that I've had with other drop-down visors, is they don't come down far enough and they just kind of sit right in your field of view. I'm not a fan of that. This one comes down much farther to where it's not affecting me. It's not gonna bug me. So I'm glad that they did that. The other kind of unique feature here is on the side. So I'm gonna try and pop this off the best I can while looking down at this angle. But you've got this little side plate, and this is here for 2 different reasons. So right here, you have this little tab. So that is going to give me, so right now when the sun visor is down, you can see where it sits, right? Well, if you are, maybe you got a bigger nose, right? Because this sun visor, you want it to be close to the rider's face, but you don't want it touching. So let's say you have that down, you're like, you know what? It needs to come out a little bit further. What you would do is take this little tab, move it up one spot. Now when I drop it down, that visor moves out a little bit further. If you need to go farther than that, move it to the top position. Now it comes down and the farthest setting out. So it allows you to customize where you want that drop-down sun visor to sit, which I think is nice. And then this action here to go up and down, very easy to work. Now the other purpose for this plate is because HJC does have their smart Bluetooth comm system. This is sold separately, does not come with the helmet, but if you want to have a fully integrated Bluetooth comm system, they give you the ability to do that. So the side plate for that will go right here. That's just gonna be for your controls, your music, things like that. And then on the back, you have this plate right here just by the neck roll. That is where the computer of that Bluetooth comm system goes. And then you would route the speakers and the microphone up through in your normal places. So if you want a good, just sleek, custom integrated look for your Bluetooth comm system, HJC does have that available. But again, you would just have to buy that separate. But if you just want to go with, say, a Bluetooth or a Cardo or a Sena, you know, those are going to work just fine on this. You know, you would just have to slap it. That's the only drawback that I've seen is that if you're rocking you're not going to use HJC's system, they don't give you really the best location to use maybe a sticky mount here. You just don't have a lot of space. And then obviously with this here, it's going to be difficult to get a clam style mount on the helmet. So they kind of pinch you in a corner a little bit. You could figure it out, but you just have to probably put it maybe back right here, just not in the most natural spot that you would normally put a Bluetooth comm system, but you can make it work. All right, the other shield that will come included is right here. So they give you the smoke shield. Now to swap the shield, it's actually pretty simple. You just bring the shield all the way up, and then you just have a little mechanism right here. You just press on that. The shield pops off pretty easily. Doesn't take very long at all, a few seconds. You can pop the smoke shield on. But you notice that you do have this just extra piece down here at the bottom. To be totally honest with you, I think it's just for looks because there's no real added feature to having this extra triangle piece at the bottom. And when you do put the smoke shield on, instead of having the two tabs, one on the right and one on the left, you're just gonna have the center to pop that visor up. So that's the only thing you really got to think about. But that does come included, which is nice. And we already talked about it. You get the Pinlock Max Vision. So some of the older Pinlocks, it's a lot thinner. So when you put this on, it's not really the greatest to look through. But this, it's going to give you full vision when you have it on. And if you've never used Pinlock before, it is probably the best anti-fog system out there. It's like a dual pane window, separates the warm and the hot air, or excuse me, the warm and the cold air, and it helps eliminate fogging. All right, let's get to the inside here. So, neck roll, already talked about it. Pretty tight, just keep that in mind. So you do have emergency tabs right here to grab the cheek pads to help pull those out. If a rider goes down, they're unconscious, or if you just want to get the helmet off safely, you pull the cheek pads out first, then you take the helmet off. But I'm gonna pull these out. So do the tabs, they come out pretty easily. Now you notice too, again, we're talking about just trying to eliminate wind noise, make this thing quiet. That's why they have this little extra lip right here. You also do have some reflectivity built into the bottom of those cheek pads and that neck roll as well, which is nice. Take out my other one here. All right, and now our comfort liner. One little nice feature I forgot to mention is that they are using titanium D-rings. Again, it's just trying to keep that weight down as much as they can, a little bit stronger. All right, so there is your neck roll, or excuse me, the comfort liner. Again, lots of cutouts on there, which is nice. That's just gonna help air circulate inside there. It's gonna keep it as cool as possible. And then when you look at the inside, that is going to be your EPS liner. EPS, expanded polystyrene. We've been seeing that in helmets for a very, very long time. That's probably the one thing that I notice about this helmet at this price of around 500 bucks. It would be nice to see them using something like a MIPS liner system, some sort of version for rotational energy management. I just think nowadays the standard has been set when you get into those higher price ranges. People just like to see additional safety features that are unique or what other helmet brands are using versus just here's your shell, here's your EPS liner, there you go. It would be cool to see them just add some safety tech in there. I think that's just gonna help benefit. Look, it passes ECE 2206. That's the benchmark, right, in DOT. But I think some riders at this price would like to see some additional safety tech built into the helmet. That's just my personal opinion. But in there, you are gonna have your cutouts right here. You can see those are removable. So there's your cutouts there for your speakers, for your comm system. Outside of that, nothing really else on the inside to talk about. But that is the HJC RPHA 60. Again, solid helmet. A lot of features that I've liked. I like the fit. The neck roll's tight, but you know that's gonna make the helmet nice and quiet. It's gonna be good at higher speeds when it comes to wind noise. The shield, the visor, everything removes nice and easy. You get some additional features, some extra goodies. And I like that the drop-down sun visor is adjustable. That's unique. I haven't seen that in other helmets. Questions, comments, please leave those down below. To grab one, click the link or head to RockyMountainATVMC.com. We ship for free over 75 bucks. If you want to stay up to date on videos and products like this, get subscribed to the Rocky Mountain YouTube channel. I'm Chase, and we'll see you on the trails.